Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. We are back with another stream. I thought I was going to be out of action for pretty much most of the week because I had no Wi-Fi in my house, didn't I? This morning, I was on bloody TalkSPORT and I had to use the 4G, not on my phone because it doesn't work, on Rachel's phone. And that was the only thing that got me through it. And then luckily, the engineer came over this morning at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's great customer service, I have to say. And he sorted me out. So I am now available to stream every day, basically. So here we are. We're back. Nina, how's it going?
Yeah, good stuff. Good. So I'm glad your engineer arrived to save the day. Good stuff. Monday, new week, new Chelsea. Lol.
We used to drink and say we're drinking all the rivals' tears, but
drinking on our own now. Cheers to that, Chelsea.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so lots, so many things going on. We've obviously got this protest which is coming up tomorrow. That's become very relevant now with regards to a lot of Chelsea fans. For those of you who don't know about this protest, it's outside Bovril Gate at 6 o'clock before the Southampton game. And Chelsea fans will be protesting a number of different issues. They will be speaking about the ownership, Bluecoat out, change the model, and also win Stanley and Stewart out. And there's been a huge debate about whether there should only be one clear message. And some people agree and some people disagree with the fact that this protest will work well. There's been reported by Ben Jacobs that there's going to be at least 200 Chelsea fans, which I still think is quite disappointing. I think really if we're looking at a match day turnout, you should have at least 500-600. I mean, that's a bare minimum. Ideally, you want 1,000 or more. But that's enough to be taken seriously nonetheless. I can imagine this will certainly get media coverage as well. I can tell you from TalkSPORT this morning, I mean, that's had some reactions as well. But yeah, Nina, I mean, what's your take on everything at the moment and Chelsea as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. I think, we've been making content on this, and I know I joined you and we were on Chelsea Fan TV basically since the takeover. I literally started September after the takeover, Alex, and it's been a rocky ride since, hasn't it? I think, you look at Graham Potter's season, and I think, as a Chelsea fan, I thought, this is probably the lowest low, but I just think that in that span, we've hit so many different lows and we've found out so many different things about ourselves that, it's been tough, certainly. But, it's always a struggle when, you don't really know what you're looking towards anymore. And I think sometimes, when you're going through tough times, you can say, well, hang in there because good things are coming. But I think we're all in this kind of unanimous agreement that we're not all sure where we're headed anymore. So I think obviously tomorrow it's really important that regardless whether there are different messages, to all be there in unanimous agreement that there is a message to be sent out. And it's really important to kind of voice the fact that we're unhappy and we're unsure where we're headed. I think, that's the kind of important part of it. And 200 or not, I think there's still power in numbers, and obviously we're all going to be there at the game. We'll be there previously, we'll be there after, we'll be there to kind of digest the whole thing. But it's an important day for sure. But yeah, I mean, the weekend, poor, obviously you were there, Alex, but I think I was so angry watching that. I'm a calm person. I said some bad words at the telly when I was watching that game, and Jurgen's error. Yeah, and you know me, I don't say bad words, but I was absolutely furious. And, I titled my match review Pathetic Performance, and someone kind of ridiculed that and said, oh, that's a bit harsh. It wasn't pathetic. But the manner in which we lost that game was beyond pathetic. And I just think that the fact that we had so many chances to put the game to bed, and, Villa scored their chances, right? They had more as well, but it's the fact that they didn't score worldy goals against us. They just scored some chances they had. If we'd done that and we'd put the game to bed and actually made good use of our lead, we wouldn't have gotten where we were in the end. I think that's what was really disappointing in the end. But yeah, that result really angered me.
Yeah, I can absolutely understand why anyone would be angered. Even if people don't think the performance was poor, the fact that we lost the game the way that we did, the fact that we couldn't even hold on to a point, I mean, that just
Yep.
shows not only a lack of quality, but a lack of mentality as well, total lack of experience. This is not anything new.
Mhm.
I mean, let's
Yeah.
see what the comments have to say as well. We've got Rain in the chat. Big up to you, Rain. Elias says, Alex, I just watched the TalkSPORT video. Great, well spoken, mate. Thank you, mate. Charlie is not on today. He will be on tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, if you want to listen to Charlie. Amir, get these owners out of my club ASAP. Big up to you, Amir. Shano, well done, Alex, on TalkSPORT. Thank you, mate. London will always be blue. Thanks for going on TalkSPORT, Alex. I think you said what most of us are thinking. The thing is, you only ever have a short period to say these things. So you just got to get it out. It's actually very difficult to describe a lot of the points you're saying, because as soon as you go into something, someone wants to interject straight away, which is normal, isn't it? It's radio. So you just got to say the points. And if people understand it, which majority of Chelsea fans do, then it will have a little bit of weight behind it. But I would have happily gone on for much, much longer. But you only have a certain amount of time. Well done this morning. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Chelsea Young Boys, good to see you on here, mate. Smash the like button as well, guys. We've got just over 8 of you in the building. Let's get up to 70 likes on the stream. Come on then. We've got Neil. During a time where these young players are going through a tough period, this protest is not going to help their mindset, especially going into the game. The thing is, Neil, we have to separate the players from the people that are running the club, the ownership and the directors. This is a separate protest. We're not protesting because we've got Nkunku. We're not protesting because Jorgensen's our goalkeeper. That's not the issue. I mean, that's part of a bigger issue.
Yeah.
We could certainly complain about that as well, but that's not why we're protesting. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Nina.
Yeah, no, I think I mean I get where he's coming from in a sense, but again, I think you nailed it there. It's much bigger than at the players, and I think that what's important to say is what we're doing before the game is very much directed to send out a message to the owners. We are still going into the game after, though, aren't we, Alex? We're still going to be there watching the game, and that's where we are fans and we do support the players. And of course, by all means, there's going to be no and this should never be condoned, abuse and, just wrong things being said to the players. I don't condone. That's not even what this is about. But ultimately, before that, it's important that we do send out a message. And in the ground, we are fans. I still support Chelsea. I still want us to get good results. I still want us to win games. So that doesn't change. So, yeah, you nailed it there. It's a separate thing. And some people have said, well, you're contradicting yourselves if you go in to watch the game after, but I tried to explain that if it's not us, it will be someone else. It'll be the next Chelsea fan that goes in, so there won't be an empty ground, will there, Alex? I think that's quite important to say, because fans will still be there at the games, and we still have business to do this season. We still need to achieve our goals, and that means supporting the teams. I think there is quite a stark difference, isn't there, that we still need to get results. We want to support our team. We want them to grind out wins and hopefully kind of get back on track. We're still hoping we can somehow turn a corner so we could see out our season with a positive end, and whatever that may look like, we still have goals to achieve. So I think that's very different, but we do want to say we want some clarity, like where are we headed? What is it we're doing here for the bigger picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned actually the turnout for the game against Southampton. Now, if I'm not wrong, I swear that there's actually quite a low turnout as it stands. When you look at memberships and tickets that you could get, I'm sure I've seen quite a few pictures. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat, guys. I am actually trying to see if I can find some pictures as well. A lot of availability in terms of seats. So
yeah, I think that's got to do something with kickoff time as well, though. It's really awkward. It's 8:15 as well on a Tuesday. I think our kickoffs have been scheduled quite strangely in the last few weeks. But yeah, obviously, no, continue.
Do you think that's because of the kickoffs then? Is that your...
It could be. The thing is, like, weekdays, there has been times, though, previously, weekdays tend to be, you do get empty seats sometimes on, evenings, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. It's just been a thing, but obviously it's quite different if there's a stark, a start gap of availability.
Yeah, I mean, I do need to find a photo. So, I mean, guys, actually, if you've got any Twitter links or something that I can show everyone in the chat as well. Again, to be fair, fuck it. I mean, I could just log in on my own account and share my screen, but we won't do that just yet. Let's see what else everyone has to say. Big up to you, Stephen. Always good to see you on in, mate. He says, Alex, what happened to the stream before the Villa game? You were on for 1 minute before disappearing. Stephen, my internet hasn't been so great at my house, so I attempted to do a live stream outside. That didn't work very well, and it was short-lived. So if you were one of the lucky people to be on that 1 minute stream, then you were a part of history, my friend. And hopefully many Chelsea fans can be a part of history tomorrow. I don't think that you should undermine this protest. I do believe it has some weight behind it. Enough people have spoken about it. You can't make the excuse that you haven't heard of it. Everyone knows about it. I have people that I spoke to on the way to Aston Villa, Chelsea fans that have been going for years and years. A lot of people saying they're not interested. They don't want to go. I said, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to drink in the pub. Well, you can't spare an hour of your time to come and support your team. Do you agree with the way we're being run? Is that acceptable to you? Fucking sip your pint then. You do that. You do that. Listen, I'm not coming out here with a banner. I know there are people who are bringing the banners. I've been sent a couple of pictures as well. There's some good ones and costing people a couple £100 as well of their own money. So I might be able to share that as well. But yeah, there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are traveling quite a way who might not even be going to the game, but still want to support this. And I say you have my respect because this is, as Johnny says, this is not Chelsea. I say the same thing. I mean, I'm not recognizing what I'm seeing. I just spoke with another Steve who messaged me this morning. He said to me, Alex, I sit in the Bobby Tambling, which is a hospitality at Chelsea. And I've been there for 4 years. They've raised the prices. Every year it gets more expensive and worse. Again, next season, there's due to be another 30% increase on ticket prices in the Bobby Tambling suite. He said, I'm not renewing it. I'm not doing it. It's not worth the money you pay for. And I say, fair play to you, mate. I hope that he still keeps coming to the games because I don't want it to be a case of people being financially, it's not viable anymore. I mean, if I ever get to that stage with my tickets and Matthew Harding's some of the cheapest ones, then, I'd be absolutely gutted. So I do hope that, he can keep going, but we'll have to see what happens from there. Let's see if anyone's got any questions. Ivan says, I am 100% sure these players can do miracles, but we need a core of old players who are leaders, not just kids. And of course, a manager who has the mentality of a winner, not a yes man. Nina, what do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, he's nailed it there. I think we've always spoken about the lack of leadership and the lack of experience. And I think, again, that's kind of the prime message I've literally been trying to send out. Like, you can't build a team of young players who have, a lack of experience, a lack of confidence, a lack of quality with nobody to learn from around them. It just simply doesn't work. And I always say, you don't have to take it from me because I'm just someone who likes to talk about football, but take it from an ex-pro player. Joe Cole literally came out and said the same thing. And, he understands the fact that when he was playing his football, it was so important to have leaders and people around him because at the end of the day, yes, you get coached by your manager, you have your trainings and you have your team talks, etc. But at the end of the day, you all go out there on the pitch and you play together and you kind of pick yourselves up together and you direct when you work together as a team, as a collective. And I think that's been our almost biggest kind of void is you don't see collective performances consistently. And that's because when you have young players who are inexperienced, they're hot and cold. They are bound to be hot and cold. Game in, game out, their performances change. It's often we talk about one player performing well for 2-3 games and then there's a drop off and then they're back again and you see glimpses of that potential and you hang on to that potential because you really want to believe that it can turn into something good. But when you have 11 of those players, well, you're not all going to have good days, right? You're not all going to have, and that is where experience and leadership is so important. So, I agree 100%. It's lovely having potential. It's great to have the next big thing in our team, but that next big thing has to be integrated in some way. And how many times have we spoken about young players which have now arrived into an environment where there's been so much change and chaos, and managers coming and going and backroom staff changing, and when things change so much and you don't have that kind of solid continuity of one thing, it is hard to hang on to that. And that's where we're seeing a lot of our values and a lot of our kind of qualities as a club be lost throughout the years, and especially since the takeover. And longevity is a big thing, Alex. Like, this is quite sad, but when you talk about having something as small as having a player on the back of a shirt, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's a lot of Cole Palmer shirts because of how exceptional he's been, but which kind of Chelsea player do we see becoming that leader that we've had from the past? Right now, there's not that kind of strong affinity with players because they're all young, they're learning on the job, they may come good, but they might move on. And that's the thing, right? Longevity is a big thing. And we don't have that. We won't have that, I don't think, with how...
Well, because we're going to keep flipping them.
I think so, yeah. And, we see it. Players come in, they're told something, then they go out on loan. They might come back, maybe don't hit the ground running. They maybe lack belief as well in what's going on here and what they're working towards. Maybe they might start looking at other clubs and finding, their projects or what they're about a little bit more attractive. If we're not playing in Champions League football, of course, players might choose to go elsewhere where they'll play Champions League football, etc. So that's where you lack longevity, right? And you lack that kind of building an affinity with a player. Like, for example, Thiago Silva. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, a player leaving, or having like a player like John Terry on his last game at Chelsea, stood at Stamford Bridge on the pitch, crying his eyes out and talking to the fans of how much he's loved the club. Like, look at the next player that can be that for us. It's hard to see, isn't it? Because you just don't know who's staying.
Well,
who's going.
yeah, I mean, you've got to have love from the fans as well to even feel that way in the first place. I mean, who loves Thaddeus Shill? Who loves Tosin? I mean, I don't mind Tosin, but he's no Thiago Silva. Nothing close. So you make a lot of great points there, and this is the thing, isn't it? We are now at a stage where, when we look into the future of what Chelsea can do, we don't have that same optimism. I'm looking at the Club World Cup and I'm saying to myself, what people think we're going to win that competition? No chance. We're picking up a paycheck and we're going home. We are now officially, if you were looking at Chelsea as if we were some sort of employer, we're no longer the employee. We're no longer the employee that does that extra shift, wants to be the best, wants that promotion. We take 100%. The paycheck and we run. That's how it is. And as soon as we can get an opportunity to get a little bit more money at another company, we're off, even if we don't deserve it. That's how I feel about Chelsea. And that's not a proud statement. That's an accurate statement. And that's where we are at the moment. And big up to everyone that's on the stream as well. We've got over 150 of you. Smash the like button. We should have over 100 likes by now. If you haven't already, it does help the channel. And we are going to quickly, unless there's something else you want to say, Nina, I'll let you finish off, and then we can go on TalkSPORT, and we'll see what Jeff and Ali had to say as well. And to be fair, both very reasonable guys compared to Simon Jordan. I will give Stevie that. A lot of people criticize Stevie, but it's very hard to get your point across.
I was going to say, just to actually back Stevie on this one. And, I mean, fair play. The guy had the completely right intentions, and to speak out on why this is, happening. I guess sometimes it is hard to get your point across. Like you say, we talk a lot sometimes, on YouTube or media. You don't always get to say everything as you like it, as you want it. Sometimes it is different, and you don't always get your whole segment out anyway. So fair enough, he did get quite a lot of stick, but Stevie, right intentions, mate. Fair play, big up. But yeah, Alex, obviously with the comments and what everyone's saying, they're pretty happy with how you spoke about everything, and I'm in complete agreement. But yeah, play it, mate. Show the people.
Let's fucking have it. Let's have it. I'm a bit pumped up today. I'm a little bit pumped up. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been up since 6 in the morning. I thought, am I going to go to sleep after this TalkSPORT segment? Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not. I've been running on fumes. No, sorry. Hang on. Let's get this going. Right. Smash the like button, guys. Let's see what happened on TalkSPORT.
Grab your popcorn.
Get the popcorn out, people. Here we go. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You haven't got a dominant defender. You haven't got a striker. You haven't got a leader. Yep.
So where did that money go? For more on this now, we're joined by the host of Chelsea Fan TV, Alex Harris. Morning, Alex.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning. How's it going?
Yeah, good, mate. Look,
Going well, mate.
Before we get on to Jorgensen and goalkeepers and the such like, taking an overview of the season, I mean, you finished 6th last season with 63 points. At the moment, you're 7th, and you've only got 43 points. Are you confident that you're going to finish higher and on a higher number of points than last season?
If you asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said yes. Now I have to say no. We are just a mess. We are a mess from top to bottom. And the last time I come in here and I spoke to you, Jeff, I spoke about the manager. I spoke about Robert Sanchez. We've just seen what's happened with Jorgensen. I thought he was better than that, but even still, he's inclined to have a couple of bad games, because if you can keep playing Sanchez for as bad as he's been, Jorgensen deserves a couple of months at least. But from my standpoint, I think that Maresca's almost in an impossible situation, and the players are in a way as well, because they can only play with the players around them. We don't have a manager who's competent enough to adapt a system. We don't have directors who are willing to sign the right players. We don't have an ownership that care enough to strive and be ambitious. You look at Aston Villa and you compare them to Chelsea. What is the difference? And I'll tell you the difference. The difference is you have a team that is ambitious and a team that has no ambition. And, I don't want to talk about it too much because I know you want to speak about the game, but it's worth touching on the fact that tomorrow as well, there will be a protest at 6 o'clock. And a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, will be there. I know that Simon spoke with Stevie, one of the Chelsea fans, and he absolutely, he killed him. He killed him. And he didn't get a chance to get his point across. So I will, because it is really important that we speak about this, Jeff. Our ownership are killing us. They are killing us. We went from having the best owner in world football to having a consortium who don't care about us. We had Jonathan Goldstein coming out saying Enzo Maresca's job is secure. Oh, that's brilliant. Coming from a Spurs fan, because that means a lot. You really care about the club, don't you? We have no spine after £1.5 billion spent. We don't have a competent striker. We don't have any depth in the centre-back roles. We don't have any quality there. We didn't replace Silva. We don't have a goalkeeper. We're probably in the double digits now in terms of how many goalkeepers we have at this football club. We picked our manager from a championship side. Where are the standards at this club? Nobody cares about football anymore. Unfortunately, it's all about business, which isn't a problem because you can still be successful. But the fact that we're so incompetent and it seems like we are totally blind to the mess that we have created for ourselves, that is why I'm so concerned as a Chelsea fan. Oh, not to mention the fact that Todd Bowley's on the board of Vivid Seats as well. If you want to get a ticket to the game on Southampton, you probably can, but it will be upwards of 500 quid. So if you fancy spending a bit of extra money to watch Chelsea lose again, you can always do that.
You know something, Alex? I'm going to tell you something, mate, right? Simon's entitled to his opinion, but the one thing that you boys are entitled to is your opinion. Now, a lot of people will say, what are they moaning about? You know, they're getting a lot of money spent on their team and in their club, and it's not been used correctly. But you're absolutely well within your rights to be concerned about your football club, no matter whether you're spending money or not. I actually think just about everything you've said, I actually agree with, to be honest with you. The one thing you can't say that the managers and coaches haven't been backed, because they have, because money's been given. But the people, I take your point. You've got a problem with the people that are spending the money, the people that are giving the money, and the way they're using the money. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is one of the points of confusion we've had around this protest, is people are going, what is the clear message here? And my stance is very simple, because there are people that think different things. You've got Bluco out, who people don't like the ownership. You've got Winstanley and Stewart out, the directors. And then you've got change the model. All right. So you've got three different things that people are unhappy with. And you could argue that all of those things could be protested for different reasons. Now, my stance on it is very simple. It doesn't matter if you have three groups of people at this protest, because they all have one thing in common. They are not happy. They feel like we are being run into the ground. And quite frankly, you know, we were singing in December, we've got our Chelsea back, but that was before the January window. We saw how unambitious we are, and the fact that we are moving backwards. We are moving backwards. We have a coach that's worse than last season. We have an ownership that don't learn from their mistakes. And we're not going to finish in a European spot. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even see how are Chelsea going to finish above Bournemouth the way we're playing. I saw Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest. Are we going to finish above them? Honestly, I ask you this, guys. Do you think that Chelsea can finish in a European position? Forget Champions League. Let's not waste our time here. But maybe a Conference League spot or a Europa League spot if we're lucky. If we don't win the Conference League, then our season is done.
You're muted.
Nina, do you have any thoughts before we finish it off? Anything to add?
I mean, you spoke for all of us, mate. I think everyone agrees in the comments. But yeah, you got some great points across. I think it's very, very and I think this is where maybe rival fans or, you know, other people misunderstand what this is all about and call us entitled, etc. But I think there's nothing wrong with voicing your concern that your club is not headed in the right direction, right? This isn't about now, oh, we're not winning any trophies. Yeah, that is it. We're not competing for trophies necessarily, but it's bigger than that. It's like this utopian promised future that we were led to believe in. It doesn't look like it's going to come together because there are very obvious holes in the way things are being done, you know, with squad building, recruitment, with decisions being made, and any fan is going to obviously have their concerns. And I think, you know, that's kind of the prime thing about this. We have supported Chelsea. We support Chelsea. We know and understand what the club is, and there's nothing wrong with when you're seeing your club go completely away from what it stood for and its values. It's I think it's every football fan would, you know, step up to voice that concern.
Yeah, I did speak about Vivid Seats, guys. I don't know why some people are saying I didn't. I definitely mentioned Vivid Seats. It's hard, though. It's hard. I can't bring it all up. I mean,
you can't say everything. I mean, there's so many difficult things you want to say, and that's the thing when you start speaking. You know, you're there with your thoughts, but sometimes you can't get it all across. But yeah.
Okay, let's finish. I've got a couple minutes. Let's finish it off.
You know what, Alex? I mean, I take your points, but a lot of football fans are going to be saying, you know, that Chelsea fans have got a sense of entitlement here because you spent an absolute fortune on players. I've got a text here saying Chelsea weren't that bad. They could have gone 2-0 up early in the game. How do the owners not care? They spent over £1 billion on players. Wow, another protest against an owner. This is truly embarrassing.
What, Jeff?
Well, yeah, but that's not the point, is it? You know, nobody's saying that their judgment has been good because it clearly hasn't. But to say they don't care, you know, Jill's texted in and said, you know, she was a Manchester United fan, saying, join the club, Alex. You know, Manchester United fans are going to point out what's happening at their club and saying it's much, much worse than what's happening at Chelsea. You
know, you make a very fair point, Jeff. And people are totally entitled to say that. The decline of Manchester United since the Glazers took over was slow and steady. They still picked up league titles. Took them quite a long time before they got to the situation they're in now. We have been under this consortium for 3 years, and we're already talking about the fact that we're a mid-table club. We have an owner that actually relishes the opportunity to be like Brighton. Can you believe that? He said that publicly. He's come out and said, we love the Brighton model. Why? Because they are profitable, because they spend 10% of their revenue on their wages, and they are a profitable, stable, mid-table club. When he was actually speaking about this egg barley, he spoke about this publicly with the owners of AC Milan at a conference in America, I think. And he said, you're going to make money on this deal. You're going to make money on this deal. Everything is about money. It's not even the fact that we're guessing this stuff. I'm just quoting people at this point. And you look at Feliciano. He says, we care more about having a good business model than success on the pitch. I just spoke about Jonathan Goldstein. He's not even a Chelsea fan and he owns a part of the club. Do you think he cares about the future of this football team? There's no ambition whatsoever. And we've got Hansi Viss. The only reason Hansi Viss is involved in Chelsea is because he doesn't like Abramovich. I mean, what are we doing here?
Alex, look, it's great to hear your passion, mate.
Magic, Alex.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've got every right to protest. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's going to change anything.
But you know what, Jeff? It doesn't matter because we're doing it anyway. We're protesting anyway, Jeff. Okay,
You just
hold
yeah.
that. There you go. So listen, they don't think it's going to work, and it won't work, but it will work if you do it 10 times, and if you continue doing it with the same amount of enthusiasm as you did it the first time. That one protest never solves a problem, but a consistent array of discontent throughout any club is bound to have consequences at some point. I can speak as well for my local team, Reading, who have actually got a worse owner than us, believe it or not. Dai Young. He sacked all the chefs. They were giving all the Reading players microwave meals last season. That's what I heard, honestly. Not even joking. He doesn't even pay the club staff. He tried to sell the training ground, and the council stepped in and said, "You're not legally allowed to sell it." Then he had a buyer from Wycombe Wanderers. The Wycombe Wanderers owner tried to buy Reading. He accepted the bid and then wanted to get more money out of it in the end, and he's still running the club. So, I mean, there is worse, but fuck me. If you look at the levels to it, how many top clubs have gone from that stage of being at the pinnacle of world football to being in not even a slight decline? And people, the Man United fans out there, you go, well, we've got the Glazers. It can't be worse for you than it is for us. Well, hang on a second. How many league titles have you won with the Glazers? I'm sure they won a Champions League with the Glazers when they beat us. They've been to Champions League finals apart from that. They've won domestic trophies and they've seen success. They've actually still been at the pinnacle of football with that ownership. Because even though the Glazers wanted to withdraw funds from the club and they leveraged a lot of debt as well, and I can appreciate that's not a nice thing, but they did enough to keep the club at a level where they sustained success and it papered over the cracks. We don't even care about that. We leave the cracks. I mean, if Chelsea were a road and you were driving on it, then you wouldn't be able to go anywhere with your car. You'd have to get a service every 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. Bit of a strange analogy, but that's what come out. So, yeah, what do you think, Nina?
I love it. Yeah, you've got like a whole fan group in the comments, Alex. It's quite funny. I love it. But yeah, no, I think you make some great points, and yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we don't even want to go down the route of comparing ourselves with other clubs, because again, I think this is all about what we as fans have seen. We know our club the best, right? We supporting the club. We've gone through everything there is to go through, and I think when you feel that this is what it comes back to, your core values and things that you stand for as a club are being stripped away and are being changed completely, and you're not actually given clarity with regards to where you're going, that's a big issue. And I think that's the biggest thing, like how we're requesting just to have some clarity on situations. And here I am saying, and I can think of 5 ways that we can already change something that we're doing currently, but that's not down to me, is it? And it's like, if I can see it, if you can see it, if we fans can see the things that need to change, like, why can't you? That's where the lack of trust is now, right? That we seem to not have, our ambitions for our club seem to not be aligning. That's the issue here, isn't it? That our ambitions as fans for our club and the ambitions, as it seems, for the owners, they're 2 separate things, right? And again, we don't make money off our club. We support our club. The way we benefit from our club is, seeing us win trophies, supporting us, seeing our players do well, having these good moments to share. How they see it is they make money, right? Profit, etc. Financially driven. So again, it's 2 kind of separate interests, and it's hard to see at the moment how they align. So that's where this whole kind of discontent is coming from. So on the surface level, it seems very simple, isn't it? It's very, very simple, actually.
Well, it is extremely simple, but people seem to complicate it as well. I don't understand why some people don't understand why Chelsea fans feel the way they do. I mean, if this was happening to your club, and I know every club is different, if this was happening to your club, whatever, and you were at a pinnacle, the best your club had been in its history, but you knew that you were set up before by a previous owner. So even if you had an owner who wasn't that great, you'd still win. You wouldn't win as much, but you would have won domestic trophies by now. You'd probably be in the Champions League. you'd have a decent squad and a spine that, to be honest with you, would be maintained throughout anyway, because you're not going to have such a big clear out like you did with Clear Lake. And that's the thing, isn't it? We've got to understand that Chelsea fans aren't being immature here. We are concerned. This is not something that came out years ago, although some people have been saying it for years. I'll give them credit for that. But not everybody realizes it. I think the optimism in everyone wants to give people a chance, but then you almost regret it.
100%. Yeah, but that's the thing though, Alex, isn't it? I think that's why me and you were, among the more positive fans. And, if we were entitled, we would have been up in the air season 1 since the takeover, right? With what we went through in Graham Potter's season and the decisions that were made in that year to start with, we would have kicked up a fuss then and there. But we actually said, okay, when you do go through a change of regime and there's a change of ownership, of course they're going to want to do things differently. And we actually gave them the benefit of the doubt and said, okay, fair enough. We've been meaning to do a clear out. You did do a clear out. That's great. Fine. We need a revamp. Yes. But then the decisions that were made following that and how we recruited and how we built the squad, etc., that's where eyebrows are raised. So it's normal now that, we're 3 years in and we're saying, well, actually what you painted out and you came in and with all the contradictory statements that are being made midway season, well, of course, that's going to cause fans to fall out with you, and there's going to be a lack of trust there, and they're not exactly doing a great job of coming out and telling us again what this utopian future looks like, because it's all good on paper, but even then it doesn't actually strike us as a very a very achievable future. So yeah, there's nothing entitled about wanting some clarity with where you're headed, because I think Chelsea fans understood there would be change, and we're going through a rebuild, fine, but then what does it look like? Where are we headed? What are the goals here? And they can't just change season in, season out. We can't just keep restarting things and trial and erroring things, because that's it. It seems like that's been the approach at times. Trial and error. Oh, we've got this target. Well, actually, we're going for this player, or actually, we'll do this. Oh, no, you were appointed for 5 years, but actually, we need to go elsewhere. We're going to appoint someone else. And it's all this kind of learning on the job. So, yeah, fine. You're understanding the club. But again, it's like you're using it almost as a trial and error season in, season out, and the fans and the football in the present moment is the expense of that, right? Sacrificing the present day to just work out what's going to work long term, and that's where it's not okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you've made some great points there, Nina. Let's see what some of the comments have to say as well, and then we can briefly touch on Southampton in the last sort of 10 minutes. But let's see what people have to say as well. Smudge Alpha says Blueco is striving for the City Red Bull model. The difference is they've brought success. I presume you're talking about City and Red Bull bringing success, not us. But yes, they've spoken about the fact that is part of the model. This is the thing, isn't it? It's like there's a number of models that we were told we wanted to embrace. Liverpool with a slightly more conservative approach on spending, Brighton in terms of the wages and the way they're able to flip players for profit. You then got, again, City with the multi-club model. But it's like, which one are you going for? Are we actually trying to do all of these models at the same time? I don't understand it. I mean, again, this is why I'm so confused, and I said it already. I don't understand what the club is doing. I don't understand. Well, now I understand why they're doing it. Of course I do. I wouldn't have said what I said if I didn't understand it. But yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, Nina, when you look at the model, what is it that you dislike the most? What is it that you disagree with?
Again, I sound like a parrot, and I think, we've already gone through a lot of the points, but it just very much comes down to that this new model of buying potential what-if players and expecting them, or rather not, I think that's where maybe we're the naive ones here, expecting them to just all collectively click and compete, instantly and get top 4. It's not going to happen. You need leaders and experience. It literally comes down to that. You can't build a team that has a lot of players that are all collectively learning together at a club like Chelsea, it's just not going to work. And of course, there's going to be a huge drop off. It's fine to believe in young players. It's fine to, okay, this is the new model, but to be so adamant that you have to abide by it religiously, where you're not going to bring in a single player with a little bit more experience, it's just, do you know what I mean? It's not going to work. It's silly to think that way. So that's the problem. And again, it's so easy to address. It's simple, it seems it, but we've chosen to ignore it. And just, again, it just seems like they want to get it so right that they refuse to address what the present team needs, what the present squad needs, what we need currently. And it's all kind of been neglected for, once again, this brighter future that, again, it's just an idea. It's just a saying. That's what's wrong with it.
100%. I mean, oh God, there's some very interesting comments on there. We'll try and get through as many as we can.
Very crazy, everyone.
Alex, you are proper Chelsea tomorrow. Neil, I'm looking forward to it. Big Tips lover, Johnny Minerals. Let's have it right. Long way from Starbucks. Big up. Who else have we got? Babu says it's disgraceful how the standard has dropped. The question is, Boba, what is the standard? Are we top 4? Are we not top 4? Maresca doesn't know what to say. I don't think anyone really knows. If we don't get Champions League, it's an absolute disaster. I really hope we can get it, but we won't. But I pray to God that we can do it. I really do pray. These owners flaunt the Club World Cup participation all the time, which they're in, because the previous owner won the Champions League. These owners couldn't even qualify for the Champions League, forget winning it. Nina, I mean, do you believe that we can get Champions League? Is there anything we can change, or are we totally out of the race?
Again, when you look at the squad and you look at what we're working with now, when we went through our sweet period where we were winning games in November and October, we still struggled at our best to win in some of those games where we played the top teams, right? That is what gives me doubt that we can now go with the rest of the 12 games left and beat the top teams that we failed to when we were in good form. And, we had players available, and we had the bench, and we had the squad depth, and we had the tactical flexibility game in, game out. And that's been stripped, and we have injuries now. And, there seems to be this lack of creativity with how to change things. You're not exactly spoiled with choice. Again, you look at our bench and you look at other teams' bench. Once again, you don't have that player that you can bring off the bench that can win you a game, that is a game changer. And the starting 11 is struggling as well. It was all fun and games when the starting 11 could see out a result and you didn't really need players and substitutions to come on, but it's proven to not be the case. I like to think it's still possible, but you have to look at the other teams that are also competing for those spots and the way that they are coming up with a bit more consistency now. And they're doing it in a moment of the season where it's arguably so important. We thought maybe it was a winter rough patch, but it's not really proved to be a winter rough patch anymore, right? It's carried over into spring. And sadly, we are getting to a point now where March, literally next week, isn't it? We're getting to a really pivotal time in the season. And a lot of us fans said last season, it was done and dusted, right? We gave up. We didn't even know we'd have European football. That kind of changed. But again, I like to think that because somehow we managed to get the results we did last season, again, if we're talking about improvement and we have improved from last season, we must be getting Champions League football, right? Otherwise, it's another season of regressing massively. So for that reason, that's probably the one thing that maybe gives me hope. But again, you have to look at the other teams and how they've going. Other teams spent and were proactive in January with the remainder of season in mind. One of that team beat us at the weekend, a team that literally had 2 of their January signings win the game, combined to win the game for them. And again, that's where you see the disparity of thinking about the remainder of the season and us who literally thinned our squad in January. So yeah, I'm not too sure.
I struggle to see how we finish in a European position. I really do. We're not going to finish in front of Liverpool. We're not going to finish in front of Arsenal. City will gain ground on us. Newcastle look like they're picking up steam. You've got Nottingham Forest there as well. Even when they're playing badly, they still almost beat Newcastle. Almost got a point.
And
they
you see
have
Newcastle, the way they played, Alex, yesterday, they go 1-0 down and then that's it. They smell blood. They smell fire. What was it, like 4 goals in half an hour?
A lot of goals. Yeah. I mean, they absolutely smashed it. This is what we had last season, though. We had momentum. We don't have momentum anymore. It's like last year, we were pulling the rope and you thought to yourself, okay, it's actually coming now. And now we're just standing there. Nothing's moving. The players certainly aren't moving. And we're not moving up the table. We're moving down the table. I don't think we're going to finish above Bournemouth the way we're playing. I mean, what do we have? We've got nothing. We've got no depth. We haven't got any tactical flexibility. Even the players that performed for us last year when we were in trouble, Maresca's killed them. Gusto, I love Gusto. You can't play for Maresca. Maresca's something to do with the way Maresca wants to play doesn't work for Gusto. It works well for Cucurella, but then I say that Cucurella was good last year as well. So, you've got to play the players to their strength. If you haven't got a team that are performing, find a way to get something out of the individual. And that's what Poch did do well. But unfortunately, I think Maresca is doing such a great job of it. Nikki says, protest Eve. I think Alex have earned the right to be embraced on Minerals FC, and you should do a stream with Johnny together. We are stronger. You never know. You never know. It could happen. Protest must be a regular thing now. Win, lose, or draw. Trust the process. Stephen says. Username Maheda. Preach. Other people's clubs are their business. It's their responsibility to advocate for themselves. It doesn't mean we're not valid in our concerns. Absolutely. I think we're talking about Man United fans here, unless there's another fan base. I did read one comment that said we sound like Tottenham. But the thing is, Tottenham didn't invest to bottle it in the first place. We invested, and we invested horribly without the intention of even winning. Even with this money that we've spent, Tottenham would probably be in a Champions League position. And that goes to say a lot because they are an absolute shambles of a football club themselves. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Who else have we got? Hit the owners in the pockets. Stop buying the merch. Stop attending home games. Stop interacting with the social media. Those 2 change. Do you think that works, Nina?
Again, it's a big ask. You're going to have to get a lot of people on board for that because it happens every day, every minute. There's fans all over the world. There's people that buy merch. There's people that will look for tickets. There's people that have never been to Stamford Bridge, Alex, and would, instantly jump to the opportunity of going. It's not a wild thing to say. There are still people who will.
Absolutely. I mean, bear in mind what I've seen on the Southampton games. There are a lot of available seats. I did see a comment. I can't remember where it is now, but saying if you don't buy it, it will get sold on Vivid Seats.
So there you go. That's it. Goodness.
That's another argument that people have. Look, my stance is if you're a season ticket holder, you have no reason not to go. You've already paid for your ticket. If you're a member and there's nobody else buying the ticket and you are the only one who was going to buy it, then I think it does make a difference. The problem is if you are a hardcore Chelsea fan or a Chelsea regular, someone who sings chants, gets involved, watches the team regularly, understands what the club is about from a match-going perspective, which is powerful in itself, and then you're replaced by someone who's never been to a game and probably never will go to another, then you are almost hurting the club in itself because you want to give the club the financial implication of not going yourself, but then that the person who's going to replace you anyway is not only going to spend the money on that ticket, but they're going to buy all the other things that you wouldn't buy anyway. They're going to buy the merch, they're going to buy the food, they're going to do all of those different things as stadium tours. So I think it sort of contradicts itself in the sense that by allowing other people to get those tickets, you're almost, I understand the motivation behind it, but you don't get what you were actually looking for in the first place. It turns out to be a worse outcome in terms of how much money is going into the club. So from that perspective, I just keep going personally. But again, I can appreciate a lot of people that don't want to go. I mean, I can respect it because how much do you want to pay to watch a team that you're not proud of, that you're embarrassed by, and you feel like you're being ripped off as well? I mentioned it earlier. The Bobby Tambling suites apparently is going up by another 30%.
I mean, look at what happened to Westview. Like that was the first prime example. few comfy seats in there, a chicken Caesar salad at the bar, and a gin and tonic and a pizza with I don't know,
they're not inclusive.
Extravagant asparagus toppings, and there you go.
Yeah, but they're not inclusive, Nina. You've got to buy that on top of your
Oh,
seat.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should have clarified that. On top of your £3 for the season ticket. Yeah, sure.
I think £3 cheap compared to some of them. I think there's probably people paying even more than that. But those tickets didn't even double. I think they tripled some of those prices. It was criminal, which almost hasn't been spoken about as much, because a lot of the fans in MHL, which I said, we were told we would have a 5% increase. It was actually an 8% increase. It went from £750 a year up to £810. I would be very shocked if there wasn't another increase. If there's no increase in MHL, though, I can assure you the hospitality will make up for it. But again, there's a lot of people who don't care about that because they don't sit in hospitality. But I can assure you, a lot of the people that sit in those seats are regular match-going fans, and they are proper Chelsea fans. So that doesn't make it easier either, So, it's just shit, isn't it? Whatever we say, unfortunately, it is negative at this moment. Red Rebelling says, I think Nina might be hungry.
You're not wrong.
I thought you just had lunch.
I did, but it was only a small lunch.
Fair enough.
I'd actually love a chicken Caesar salad right now.
Chicken Caesar salad for lunch.
Not one that costs £17, though.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely not. That's what it costs in Westview. It costs about 20 quid if you want a burger or a pizza. I mean, they are nice. I'm not going to lie to you. I've sat up there once or twice, and it is nice, but it's not worth the money. That you could just go to a restaurant. Just go to a nice restaurant and you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Right, let's see what else have we got. If anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat. DJ Sav says, I'm sick and tired of rival fans that know jack about Chelsea FC. Do your research before making your comments, man. I think a lot of people are very reactionary. So are we at times. But again, it's good to understand what you are talking about. I completely agree with you on that. There you go. Tommy, you don't like my walk of shame videos, mate? Not a problem. But Tommy, you keep criticizing the channel. Why do you keep watching it? Every stream you
I was going to say, we have a super fan here. Tommy just can't keep away. He can't stay away.
Don't like it. Don't watch it.
Oh, God.
Anyway, turn back on game minute 12 and 21 and belt out Roman Abramovich. For those people who don't know why those are the numbers we would use. 12 is 2012 and 21 is 2021, because those are the years that we won the Champions League. So that is why that's synonymous with the Abramovich shot. I think it's quite a good idea, to be honest with you, mate. We haven't done that yet. We've had the Abramovich chance coming out, but we haven't. It hasn't really got going properly. I mean, I've heard it, but I haven't. Like Brentford away was iconic, wasn't it? Did you go to that game, Nina?
That was last season, wasn't it? The last season game, the draw.
Yeah, when they chanted "fuck Todd Bowley" or something like that. And then
I wasn't at the game, but I remember when you were talking. What game you were talking about? Yeah.
But that was iconic. There's a lot of people speaking about it, and there was a lot of PR that came out after that one as well. A lot of stuff. They were seriously concerned at that point. And they should be concerned now, because their investment is turning into a laughing stock. You've got investors in the background. They want to know that their investment is protected. They want to know that they're guaranteed to make a profit. Listen, whatever happens, I think they will make money. But the question is, how long are they going to be a part of this club? What are they going to do in order to get where they need to go? They are going to do whatever they need to do. And that is why we are protesting again. Because if we were in a similar situation to Liverpool, we can all appreciate that the guys are going to make some money. But you know what? You've won a Champions League with us. We won a Premier League. We're on course to win another Premier League. You're not winning trophies every year, but you are challenging, and you can see that we're maintaining that success. Not investing a lot. We're investing very intelligently. We're very smart the way Liverpool invest, and that's just the total.
But that's just proof. Liverpool are proof that you can't contend for a title or win one if you haven't got a backbone of experience and leadership in that team. Because they have a handful of players. Yes, they have also made signings and they've tried to integrate certain players. They've got a new manager, but ultimately they've got a backbone of players that have been there and won trophies, have competed, understand the club, you know? Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, Robertson, you name them. There's players there that have been around and understand. And then whoever comes in, it's much easier to settle into a club when you have those players. But when you have everybody learning on the job, I mean, there's no way you can get anywhere near. I mean, which Premier League winning team has had as many potential players, what ifs, and, players that have lacked experience and leaders? Any at all?
Sorry, Nina, I didn't catch that last bit.
No, I'm just saying that, if you look at every sort of Premier League winning team and teams that have challenged, there's always been leadership and players there that have experienced and have understood, right, the level, the quality, etc. You haven't seen it with with a amount of players that are all kind of very thin CVs, very thin experience, have come from different leagues, are all kind of learning on the job, trial and erroring. You just need it. It's such a simple thing. Such a simple thing.
Without experience, you are just learning on the job. And that's what our owners are doing. They've never done this before. That's what our directors are doing. They've never done this before. That's what our players are doing. And that's what our managers are doing. Nobody has worked at this level consistently. I mean, you've got a couple of players you could pick out, your Jameses, players like that. Of course, you can always have one, but one is not enough. You look 5-10 years back and you say, who was a good player in that team? And you find 3 or 4 great players. And now you look at Chelsea and you say, who have they got? It's Palmer. That's all people would say. They'd say, oh, you got Palmer.
Yeah.
Nobody
and
would
he's
say
a new
anything else about
arrival.
Chelsea.
He's a new
Sorry?
arrival. He's a new arrival as well. That's the thing. He's only been here for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we can qualify at least for the Europa League as a bare minimum. I'm saying that with a broken heart, really, knowing that we need Champions League, but I don't see it. I don't even see us qualifying for Europa League, to be honest, domestically. The only way we qualify for any form of European competition is through winning the Conference League. That is all I can tell you. If we don't win the Conference League, then we are done. We are so finished. I mean, we're already finished. What am I talking about? Oh, my goodness. DJ Sev says, all I will say is make the protest a peaceful one. Don't let emotions start using the ownership. Nationality, meaning Americans, out. We can't be protesting like that. Make it civil, please. Absolutely. I think I saw something about this. Lewis mentioned it. We don't need to discriminate with people because of the country they're from. Although we know that the Americans are synonymous with essentially leeching off of all these football clubs. We're aware of that. But again, we want to make an impact. And by crossing a certain line, you make it impossible for there to be any form of contact between the fans and the ownership anyway. Not that they care enough to speak with fans, but at least you know that you might have a direct response from the club if they can see a contingency in the fan base are unhappy. If there's no class to this protest, then it will be treated like we're a bunch of hooligans. That was how it will be treated. So you do have to have an element of respect, but at the same time, you can't respect what they're doing because it's tarnishing everything that Abramovich built, everything that Ken Bates managed to build as well. He was a big part of this. We were a successful club before Abramovich. Listen, not the most successful, but we were successful. And we did win trophies. And now we haven't won trophies in 3 years. They'll say, oh, we've ended that now because of the Conference League. Fingers crossed, but it's just not enough. It's not enough at all. We'll go through a couple more comments, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. Steve, he says, Alex, you did well this morning in time. You had in the time I had, hence why I'm watching your stream. I work with Minerals a lot, and his mentality is elite, always factual, and he never sugarcoats it. Well, he certainly doesn't sugarcoat it. Big up to you, Steve. Good to have you on the stream, mate. I hope you're doing well. Neil says, where is the pub to watch the game after the protest? Now, I'll be honest, I obviously don't watch the games in the pub. if I was to mention a few, you got the Butcher's Hook, you've got Connor Kai.
Yeah.
They both have TVs. I think they both have TVs. So maybe those would be good bets. Otherwise, you've got the Goose, which is further up, Cock Tavern. You've got plenty of pubs.
To be fair, the Goose is probably the best because they've got loads of TVs and, you know, it's the Chelsea pub. So, well, yeah, the one it's further away from the station, from the stadium, obviously, but it's probably the best in terms of space and tellies and stuff. But yeah.
There you go. So, Neil, I presume you're not going to the game. You're just going to be coming to the protest and then watching after. So I'm sure I'll see you. And if anyone is watching the game as well, we'll hopefully we can see you after. And if I don't have a chat with any of you before, I can hopefully say hello after. We record by Connor Kai, which is another pub right outside Stamford Bridge. That's where we usually do our fan camps. But listen, guys.
Come say hello if you're there as well. Like, come say hello.
Yeah.
We're always there. And
we'll be around. What time are you getting there, Nina?
I'll try to be there before 6. Probably like 5:45, 6 o'clock. It depends on trains, to be honest. But yeah, I'll be there for 6 for sure.
I'm with you. Fair enough. Well, sounds good. Well, listen, big up to you, Nina. Thanks so much for jumping on. Subscribe to Nina's channel if you haven't already, guys. It's Nina's Chelsea Corner. Smash the like button. Let's see if we can get up to, I don't even know how many likes you're on. Just smash the like button. And there will be another stream tonight at 8 o'clock. So tune in for that one. And we will catch up very soon. Big up to everyone that's watching and up the Chelsea.